Hey everyone, I'm your host Josh, and you're listening to Everything CCR, where I will discuss why I love diving rebreather as my main equipment configuration, things I've learned while diving rebreathers, and interviewing other rebreather divers like yourselves. So, join me in the silent world of diving as we explore Everything CCR. Hey everybody, so this is my first podcast episode, and I wanted to start this podcast as a platform to talk about everything rebreather diving. And I thought, what better way to do that than to give you a little bit of background and context into my diving history. My wife and I started diving in 2017 in Bremerton, Washington. She actually surprised me with an open water scuba class for Father's Day. When we completed that, we actually found out maybe a couple weeks later that we were going to be moving to the sunny island of Guam. We were both a little bit skeptical at first. We weren't too sure if we were going to like it, but once we got there with our scuba gear in hand, absolutely fell in love with the island. The crystal clear water, the warm temperatures, it was just paradise. I couldn't have asked for a better place and opportunity to start my diving career right after getting my open water certification. And it's certainly not a situation I ever regret or would take for granted. So probably, I'd say, good 8 months, we both spent almost all of our free time just diving, getting on the boats, diving from shore, doing night diving. It was absolutely amazing. And I would say probably the beginning of 2019, I got my dive master done, and I was helping out some instructors, teaching classes, and I eventually got my open water instructor scuba certification and became an instructor myself, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Absolutely loved teaching, working with new divers, helping them gain confidence, and also enjoying and continuing to dive with them and see them become really good divers themselves. Now, if you've never been to Guam or had the opportunity to dive there, if you're ever on your way through, I absolutely recommend trying to get in a couple dives while you're there. There's some really amazing walls, and the tops start at about 60 feet and go down to 230 feet. And as a recreational diver, my max depth being 130 feet, I'd always be on the wall and looking down. I could see the bottom, but I didn't have the training or the skills to go there. And wanting to do that, I decided I would pursue technical diving. And I signed up for an advanced nitrox decompression procedures, and the configuration was in back mount doubles. After I completed that, a few months later, I went into doing extended range, and I found that I didn't really want to continue diving air past 40 meters. So with the rising cost of helium everywhere, the cost of helium in Guam was $5 a cubic foot at the time. So filling up a back-mounted double set aluminum 80s was not a budget-friendly avenue. So I became interested in rebreathers. My tech instructor, Jason, he was dove rebreathers, and I was discussing with him, and I eventually made the decision that I would pursue rebreather diving. And I purchased my first rebreather in the fall of 2019, and I started my Mod 1 class in January of 2020. And taking that step just seemed logical to me based on the cost of filling a double set out there and the cost of filling a 19 cubic foot. So I started on 19s, aluminum 19s, and it just made sense. And there was a few other reasons and benefits that I'm going to discuss in a later episode, but for the sake of this episode, so I finished my Mod 1 in January 2020, my air diluent, and I dove that rebreather like crazy. I absolutely fell in love with diving the rebreather. And I will say, one of the things I enjoyed the most about it was how much I could hear the wildlife around me. I never realized how much my bubbles were actually masking a lot of the sounds of the ocean while I was diving. And it's one of the things that is really keeps me into rebreather diving. So when I got to my 50 hours, I signed up and I did my Mod 2, which is the mixed gas decompression diving. And I finished that probably late 2020. Everything kind of runs together. It was right around COVID and things got pretty funky, which everything locked down and all that stuff. But once I got through Mod 2, I kept diving it, and eventually in May of 2022, my wife and I, we moved to Hawaii, to the island of Oahu, and that's currently where we are at. And you may be wondering, well, why so many moves? Well, I've been in the military for 16 years, so moving frequently just happens to be a part of the job. It's a blessing and a curse, if you ask. I really loved Guam, but I've fallen in love with diving in Hawaii. I've met a lot of great rebreather divers out here, and that community in the great diving we do out here, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's just another opportunity for me to gain experiences in a different part of the world. So that's a little bit of my background. I know this is a short first episode. I wanted to provide a little bit of background. And again, this podcast is all about everything CCR, dedicated to different CCRs, stories about CCR diving, travels with the CCR. I'm going out to Chuk again, which I'm super excited for. I'm getting prepped for that. It's only a couple months away, and I will be talking all about it. The first time I was out there with my Prism. This time I'm going to be on my ISC Tiburon. Most people know them as the Megs. I'm going to be bringing that rebreather out with me this time, and I'm going to be going out with a really good friend. His name's Justin, and he dives on the Choptima, and I'm just really looking forward to it. The wrecks out there are amazing, and I look forward to having an episode where I discuss with everybody how my trip in Chuuk was. And hopefully in the next month or so I'll be able to get some interviews lined up. Some of the things I'm thinking about is if people are interested, we can get on, we can talk, why you love rebreather diving, some of the things you've learned in your time as a rebreather diver, and just enjoy talking about rebreathers. So let me know what you think. I'm going to link in an email, so if you want to reach out and you would be interested to get on a call and I can record it and you could be a part of this podcast, we just talk about rebreathers, hey, let's do it. I'm all for it. It's really what this podcast is all about. Again, it's just everything CCR. So thank you everybody for listening. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments and chatting with you, hopefully one-on-one on this podcast. Thanks. We'll see you soon.